What's up, guys? Just here by my channel. Tonight, be reviewing for Monday Night Raw. So let's get to it then. Alright, we have a segment with Seth Rollins and stuff. So, Seth Rollins' music blares through the arena, and Rollins makes his way to the ring with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Paul Heyman. Heyman starts off by introducing his new faction. Heyman compares Breaker to the Terminator and says Breaker is the future of the industry. Heyman then moves his attention to Bronson Reed. The crowd chats for CM Punk, and Heyman says Punk isn't here, and that's all thanks to Bronson Reed. Heyman says Reed is a top tier talent and that he's a violent man in a PG era. Heyman talks about Reed's hunger and talks about how Reed attacked Rollins in the past and the damage he did to Rollins doesn't compare to any fight Rollins has been in. He then tells everyone that Rollins has made sacrifices for the company's future. Heyman showers Rollins with compliments and asks everyone to acknowledge Rollins. Rollins takes the mic from Heyman and waits a few moments before addressing Tampa. He says that this is his vision and the way forward and how to establish security for the company to dominate with power. Rollins says he's done exactly when he said he'd do. Rollins talks about how they all sing his song and now Tampa is swearing at him. Rollins says he's the only person who is capable of leading the company to the future, and he is the only one who can wield this power. He calls out CM Punk and Sami Zayn for gaining in his way, but Punk found out on Saturday what happens when you underestimate him. He says Zayn will find this out tonight, and Rollins has found a way to control the fate of WWE championships. He says he will qualify for Money in the Bank, and he will win the contract, and he will cash in the contract when he wants, where he wants, and on whom he wants. And this is complete domination. Rollins drops the mic, and everyone else is in the ring. Alright, so first match coming up, men's Money in the Bank qualifying match, Penta versus Dragon Lee versus Chad Gable. The bell rings and Penta Lee teamed up and kicked Gable down and started stomping him in the corner. Penta now pushes Lee, and Lee pushes him back and decides to go for Gable. Gable is sent out for the ring, and Penta rolls up Lee for a near fall. Lee and Penta go at it. Lee hits a flipping head scissor, and then kicks Penta in the face in the corner. Gable runs in and gets kicked and gets kicks by Lee. Lee kicks Lee Penta and runs at Gable, who catches Lee and slams him down with back suplex. Gable suplexes Penta and hits a bridging plex on Lee and covers for two. Penta punches Gable and kicks him down to the mat. Penta lifts both Lee and Gable and drops them in a pile driver slam. Penta flips out of the ring and lands on both Lee and Gable. We cut a commercial break. Back on Raw, Gable pummels Penta in the corner. Lee is nowhere to be seen, and Gable slaps Penta in a headlock as Snapmares him. Gable gets Penta in an arm lock, and Penta powers out of it. Gable and Penta are outside the ring, and Gable slams Penta into the announce desk. Vikingo is in the ring, and he stares down Gable. Lee flies out of the ring and splashes onto Penta, and this allows Gable to attack Vikingo, or how you say? I'm sorry, I suck at names. Back in the ring, Penta and Gable trade chops. Lee comes in and kicks Gable, and Penta kicks Lee. Lee hits Poison Rana on Penta and powerbombs Gable and covers him for a 2 count. Lee goes to slam down Penta, but Penta fights out and lifts up Lee. Gable comes from behind and German suplexes both Penta and Lee. Gable climbs the ropes and moonsaults onto Penta and covers him for a near fall. Lee runs at Gable, and Gable throws Lee into the turnbuckles. Bangino runs up and kicks Gable, busting Gable open, allowing Lee to stomp on Gable, and Lee now walks into a Mexican destroyer by Penta. Penta hits the Penta driver on Gable and gets the win. So where is Penta? Alright, Judgment Day is backstage in the clubhouse. Roxanne Perez comes in, offers Dominic Mysterio some nuggets and start massaging his shoulders. Liv Morgan comes in, and Perez goes to introduce herself, but Morgan tells her to shh. Morgan asks what's been going on, and then says Raquel Rodriguez has been telling her what's going on, and she'll address that stuff later. Morgan and Rodriguez leave, and Carlito tells Mysterio to not eat Perez's nuggets. Natalia, Maxine Dupree, and Akira Tozawa are hanging out backstage, prepping Tozawa for his upcoming match. We also see Rusev starting around backstage. A Memorial Day video narrated by Cody Rhodes plays, paying tribute to the veterans. Thank you. All right, so second match coming up, Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupree versus Rusev. Tozawa goes after Rusev at the bell. Rusev throws Tozawa and gets him on the apron. Tozawa kicks Rusev and then splashes down on Rusev. Rusev slams down Tozawa and then kicks him. Tozawa gets slapped in the oculate and taps out. Somewhere by submission, Rusev. After the match, Rusev doesn't let go of the hole and Sheamus comes out to make the save. Rusev lets go of the hole and Sheamus gets in the ring and they stare each other down. Rusev walks away and leaves the ring while eyes are locked on Sheamus. All right, Kathy Kelly talks to Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer. They plug their Netflix shows. Kreischer quickly leaves after plugging the show. As Segura is talking, Kreischer marks out over the Warriors. Sami Zayn is pissed backstage, and also asks him why he's pissed and what he would have done. It would have been 1-3. Uso tells Zayn to win his qualifier and that Uso has Zayn's back. Alright, so third match, WWE Tag Team Championship Triple Threat match. The New Day, who are the champions, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston versus War Raiders, Edge and Ivar versus the Creed Brothers, Brutus and Judas Creed. Alright, the War Raiders attack both teams and all hell breaks loose. The Creeds are slammed and sent out of the ring. The New Day is thrown out to and Eric body slams Ivar off the apron onto everyone outside. Back in the ring, Eric and Ivar double team Kingston and Judas Creed runs in and takes over Ivar. Eric gets beaten up by both the New Day and the Creed brothers outside the ring. Eric gets slammed into steel steps by all four, and the Creeds and New Day celebrate in the ring. We have to cut a commercial break. Back on Raw, Kingston has Eric on the mat and kicks him in the face. Eric strikes Kingston with some punches, and Kingston kicks Eric and tags in Woods. Woods jumps onto Eric's neck, hanging him up on the ropes. Woods hits Eric with an elbow, and Eric connects with the punch on Woods, and both men are laid out. Ivar and Julius are tagged in. Ivar takes out everyone from the opposing teams. Ivar sits on Julius and knocks Woods, Kingston, and Bruce out of the ring. Julius rolls out too, and Ivar gets on the top turnbuckle, and Kingston kicks him. Now Eric knocks down Kingston, and in the ring, Bruce sits Eric on the top rope, and Eric punches him down to the mat. Julius runs up the corner and superplexes Eric. Ivar splashes Woods after Woods connects with an elbow on Eric. All six men are laid out. Eric punches Kingston. Ivar takes out the Creed brothers, and Woods takes down Eric. Kingston and Brutus knocks Ivar out of the ring. Brutus hits a Brutus ball on Eric. Ivar beats up Kingston outside the ring. In the ring, Woods rolls up Julius to retain. So winners and still WWE Tag Team Champions, a New Day. Damn. Alright, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez walk by Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Morgan makes fun of Zayn for not qualifying for Money in the Bank. Zayn suggests they have a match tonight. Alright, segment coming up with Jey Uso. Jey Uso comes out from the crowd to the ring. Uso yeeting during the break. So we start ring right in with his in-ring promo. He said it's been a busy week. Logan Paul got yeeted on. John Cena almost got yeeted on. And then Gunther's music hits and he makes his way out. Gunther says he's out here because congratulations are due. And he congratulates Uso for his 15-year career. You ever remember? Secondly, he congratulates Uso for successfully defending his title on Saturday. Gunther says Uso's title reign is no longer than he expected. Uso says Uso has his hands full with a lot of drama, but he's always there for his friends. Great quality for human being, but a terrible one for the great champion. He tells Uso that Uso isn't a great champion and tells Uso he has a great champ. He was a great champ because Gunther only cares about himself. He tells Uso he is taking back his championship. Uso asks Gunther if he's done because Uso is done. He says he's done listening to the naysayers and he's done with everyone with fake loyalty. He has friends and family who fight for each other. Uso gives Gunther permission to judge him. He says what Gunther is fighting for is less than what he is fighting for. He says he isn't overlooking Gunther, but at the end of the day, he's fighting for the WWE Universe. He then tells Gunther that he'll make Gunther tap out again and drops his mic and leaves. Alright, fourth match coming up. Liv Morgan with Raquel Rodriguez versus Kairi Sane. They get the bell and the women lock up. Morgan pushes Zayn and slams her down to the mat. Morgan kicks Zayn and stomps her in the corner. Morgan batters Zayn against the turnbuckle, and Zayn starts giving Morgan some chops and then pushes her in the corner. Zayn comes off the top rope and Morgan runs away. Zayn hits a head scissors on Morgan and then punches Morgan against the rope, sending her out of the ring on the apron. Zayn goes to kick Morgan but misses. Morgan hits a sunset flip power off the apron to the mat outside the ring, and we cut commercial break. Back to Raw. Movie star Morgan has Zayn in the headlock, and Zayn gets back on her feet and elbows Morgan. Morgan slams down Zayn and covers her for two. Morgan goes for the three amigos, but Zayn counters on the third suplex. Zayn hits Morgan with a spear. Zayn takes out Morgan with some crossbodies and then hits a basement blockbuster on Morgan. Zayn hits a running forearm and climbs the ropes. Zayn hits a flying forearm and covers Morgan for a near fall. Zayn gets Morgan in a headlock crab submission hold. The hold is broken and Zayn punches Morgan and runs into a double boot by Morgan. Morgan hits a middle rope codebreaker and covers Zayn for a 2 count. Morgan kicks Zayn and tries for Oblivion but misses. Zayn punches Morgan and hits a running forearm and covers for two. Morgan rolls up Zayn and gets a 2 count. Morgan hits a backstabber on Zayn and Zayn tries to roll up Morgan, but it gets botched and we get a two. Zayn climbs the ropes and Roxanne Perez pushes Zayn off the top rope as Rodriguez has the ref distracted. Rodriguez and Perez argue outside the ring, and in the ring, Zayn rolls up Morgan after Miss Oblivion and gets the win. So winner is Kairi Zayn. Alright, after the match, Morgan sends daggers at Perez as Rodriguez consoles Morgan. Both Morgan and Rodriguez glare at Perez from the ring. Big Patch replay plays where she talks about coming out victorious at Money in the Bank. Lara Vagaria walks backstage and we find out she's going to be live next. Backstage, Liv Morgan argues with Roxanne Perez while the rest of the Judgment Day stand around. She tells Rodriguez that Rodriguez is a veteran and she should have done better. Morgan and Dominic Mysterio leave as Rodriguez is shocked and in disbelief. As she said it was Perez's fault. Lara Valkyria makes her way out to the ring. Valkyria says she wishes she had news, but instead she is here to discuss Becky Lynch's rematch with her at Money in the Bank. She says she's being lynched twice and has nothing left to prove. She says she didn't feel satisfaction when she beat Lynch. Valkyria says Lynch needs to be humble as she's delusional. Valkyria calls Lynch a rat for playing dirty in their last match. So it's personal this time. Valkyria says she will hurt Lynch and break Lynch's ego at Money in the Bank. Becky Lynch makes her way out. Lynch tells Valkyria that Valkyria cost her opportunity. Lynch says she won the night, and Valkyria made it personal. Lynch says people only know about Valkyria because of her, and Valkyria says they know about her because she beat Lynch. Lynch suggests a stipulation: if Valkyria beats her, she won't ever challenge Valkyria for her title again. Lynch says when Valkyria beats her the first time, Lynch raised Valkyria's hand, and when Lynch wins at Money in the Bank, Valkyria will have to do the same for her. Valkyria agrees. Alright, backstage, Kerry Cross and Scarlett approach Sami Zayn. Cross points out the man Zayn is in for not taking Rollins' offer. Cross tells Zayn he won't win the title. Alright, fifth match main event coming up. Men's Money in the Bank qualifying match. Seth Rollins with Paul Heyman versus Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor. At the bell, Zayn attacks Rollins as Balor sits back. Zayn tosses Rollins out of the ring, and Balor attacks Zayn. Zayn suicide dives out onto Rollins, and Balor runs out. Balor runs out and attacks Zayn on the rampway. Back in the ring, Balor punches Zayn and chops him. Zayn fights back and punches out Balor in the corner. Rollins comes in and takes down Zayn and start punching him. Balor then hits Rollins and chops Zayn. He then chops Rollins in the corner, and Rollins fights out of it. Balor hits a DDT and neckbreaker at the same time on both Zayn and Rollins. Balor covers both men, and they cover out, and we get a commercial break. Back to Raw. Balor punches Zayn in the center of the ring. Zayn suplexes Balor, and Rollins comes in and comes in the ring, and he and Zayn go at it. Zayn punches Rollins on the turnbuckles, and then Zayn knocks Balor back outside the ring and sends Rollins out of the ring too. Zayn hits a sitting springboard moonsault on Balor and Rollins outside the ring. Rollins and Zayn are in the ring, and Rollins hit a Falcon Arrow on Zayn and covers him for a near fall. Rollins chops at Zayn in the corner and then sits him on the ring post and chops him some more. Zayn punches Rollins off the ropes. Balor hits Zayn and Zayn gets rid of Balor. Rollins runs up the ropes and Zayn punches him and then hits a sunset flip powerbomb off the top rope and covers Rollins for two. Balor throws Zayn out of the ring and then attacks Rollins. Rollins tries to pedigree Balor but can't, and then tries to pedigree Zayn but can't. Balor sling blades Rollins and goes for the Cote de Grace on Zayn, but Zayn stops him, and hits a superplex on Balor, and Rollins comes off the other corner, and it's a frog splash on everyone when we cut commercial break. We are back. All three men take turns punching each other on their knees. Uh, Zayn and Rollins get to their feet, and Balor falls suit. The men all knock each other down again. Rollins gets up first and kicks Zayn several times. Rollins suggests he and Balor team up against Zayn. Balor and Rollins sit Zayn on the top rope, and Zayn tries to fight out of it. Zayn knocks both Rollins and Balor and jumps off the top rope, and Rollins tries to pedigree him, but is kicked out of the ring. Balor hits a sling blade, and Rollins breaks the pin, and all three men are laid out. Rollins kicks Balor and hits a pedigree and covers Balor for a near fall. Zayn tries to roll up Rollins, but it doesn't work. Rollins hits Zayn with a pedigree and is covered, but Zayn kicks out. Rollins goes to stomp Zayn, and Zayn hits the blue Thunder Bomb on Rollins, and Rollins kicks out of the pin. Rollins and Zayn are laid out in the ring. Balor has disappeared. Zayn and Rollins exchange punches, and Rollins mauls Zayn in the corner. Zayn hits the exploder into the corner on Rollins, and then sets up for the Luba kick. Balor hits a sling blade on Zayn, and then kicks both men in the corner. Balor goes for coup de grace and misses. Rollins takes down Balor, and Zayn hits a Luba kick on Rollins. Zayn goes for the pin, but Braun Breaker runs out and breaks the pin. Jay Uso comes out, and all hell breaks loose. All start fighting. Dominic Mysterio runs out with a steel chair and slides it in the ring for Balor to use. Rollins instead current stomps Balor into this chair and gets the win. So winner is Seth Rollins. After the match, CM Punk's music hits, and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed runs to the entryway to intercept Punk. However, comes out of the crowd. It hits GTS on Rollins. Breaker and Reed runs back to the ring, but Punk retreats in the crowd and celebrates as show goes up there and stuff. So yeah, that was a good show tonight. I enjoyed it. There was some good matches. Man, that first Money in the Bank match with the Chad Gable and Dragon Lee and Penta, that was a good match. I enjoyed that one. So yeah, it was good stuff. So pretty good tonight. So yeah, not too bad and stuff, but it's bang for it, like up and down a lot and stuff. So anyways, that was this first video. Hope you like it, not whatever and stuff. So subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment. If you guys don't leave a comment stuff, I'm encouraging you guys to do, and that was it. And I'll see you guys Wednesday night for AW Dynamite. Alright, laters.